Datta, Jai Guru Datta, Sri Guru 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 Datta.
Shri Ganeshaya Namaha, Shri Saraswatyai Namaha, Shri Padavallabha Narasimha Saraswati, Shri Guru Dattatreya Namaha, Shri Ganapati Satchidananda Sadgurubhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Guru Datta and welcome to Datta Arpanam with your hosts Rishi Nirvan Baru
and Ravita Singh. Jai Guru Datta, Swagatam, and thank you for tuning in to Datta Arpanam, a showcase of the life, music, and teachings of His Holiness Parama Pujya Dr. Shri 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 Ganapati Satchidananda Swamiji of Avadhuta Dattapitam in Mysuru. Today's program begins with the offering of pranams, gratitude, and this invocation prayer at the sacred feet of beloved Sadgurudeva Pujya Shri Swamiji, as this show, possible only through His divine grace, is offered to him. Please join Pujya Shri Bala Swamiji now in worship.
Shri Ganeshaya Namaha, Shri Saraswatyai Namaha, Shri Padavallabha Narasimha Saraswati, Shri Guru Dattatreya Namaha, Shri Ganapati Satchidananda Sadgurubhyo Namaha. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gururdevo Maheshwarah, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Bhuyuta Shri Hari Chinnhitabhyam Agastya Rekhadi Bhiranchitabhyam Nigodha Bijakshara Mudritabhyam Namo Namah Sadguru Padukabhyam. Ganapati Gurumekam Satchidanandarupam Vibhudharivahasevyam Yogamargadhirudham Sharanamupagatanam Sanghadrivajram Mama Hridaya Nivasam Bhaktinamro Namami, Bhaktinamro Namami.
Once again, everyone, Swagatam, and thank you for tuning in to this morning's edition of Datta Arpanam. Today's program is being brought to you through the kind courtesy of Velini's Drug Mart Limited of 58 to 60 Sutton Street, San Fernando, Debe Supermart Limited of 182 SS Aaron Road, Debe, Coquier Supermart Limited of 14 Naparima Road, San Fernando, and Samtron Insurance Brokers Limited of 1126 SS Aaron Road, Debe, and 225 Southern Main Road, Warrenville, Cunupia.
2 weeks ago on Datta Arpanam, through the grace of Sri Swamiji and his mother Jayalakshmi Mata, you were given an introduction into who Mata Jayalakshmi was. Apart from being Sri Swamiji's mother, she was also his first guru. Once she fulfilled this role of guru to her son, the Avadhuta of Lord Dattatreya, Jayalakshmi Mata left the mortal plane. But before she did so, she blessed Sri Swamiji with the Dwadasha Sutras, 12 tenets by which he was to live his life. These are guidelines by which he now instructs that we live our lives.
Last week, you heard about the first sutra given by Jayalakshmi Mata to her then 9-year-old son. That sutra was, "See me in all women." Such was the depth and the far-reaching benefits contained within these 5 seemingly simple words that it took an entire program to analyze this first and very powerful sutra.
Today, through the grace of a most compassionate guru, we move on to the second sutra. But before we do, no venture succeeds without remembrance of Lord Ganapati. So, without further ado, let us glorify, through bhajan, that remover of obstacles. Pujya Sri Swamiji has said that there is none greater than the Supreme Almighty, none greater than God. There is nothing which we cannot achieve through His grace. This is why he says, let us pray and fit ourselves to be the recipients of His grace.
Bearing this thought in mind, please open the Bhajanmala app or visit the website www.bhajanmala.com. Enter bhajan ID number 18 and join in singing this beautiful bhajan, through which one prays to Lord Ganapati to teach me the truth. Teach me the eternal truth and give me infinite knowledge. Once again, the bhajan ID number is 18.
Palaya Gananata, Paripalaya Gananata, Palaya Gananata, Paripalaya Gananata. Shantam Kantam Saukyamakandam Satyam Nityam Jnanamanantam Shantam Kantam Saukyamakandam Achalam Prachalam Suchiranchanam Tava Mama Chaikam Tattva Bodhai Achalam Prachalam Suchiranchanam Tava Mama Chaikam Tattva Bodhai Palaya Gananata Paripalaya Gananata. में सौख्यम मरणावधि अतसु सौख्यम चरमावधि दिश में सौख्यम मरणावधि अतसु सौख्यम चरमावधि सर्वत्र चैतन्य दृष्टिं शिवां श्री सच्चिदानंद योगोद्भवां सर्वत्र चैतन्य दृष्टिं शिवां श्रीसच्चिदानन्द योगोद्भवां पालय गणनाथ परिपालय गणनाथ पालय गणनाथ परिपालय गणनाथ पालय गणनाथ परिपालय गणनाथ हरि
As was sung in that bhajan, may Lord Ganapati grant all who joined in his worship peace, pleasure, and infinite comfort. You are tuned in to Datta Arpanam, a showcase of the life, music, and teachings of Parama Pujya Shri 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 Ganapati Satchidananda Swamiji. You were just listening to the voice of Shri Swamiji as he rendered a self-composed Lord Ganapati bhajan.
Before that, you heard that Sri Swamiji was referred to as a most compassionate guru. Does this characteristic of Sadgurudeva stem, at least in part, from the second of the Dwadasha Sutras? What sparked that question? Well, to find out, stay tuned to today's episode of Datta Arpanam and let us together begin the journey into the depth of that second sutra. Be compassionate to the poor and socio-economically disadvantaged people.
When William Shakespeare spoke of mercy, he described it beautifully by saying, "It is twice blessed. It blesses him that gives and him that takes." A truly beautiful perspective from this 16th to 17th century English poet and playwright. And although Shakespeare used this phrase to describe the word mercy, it actually seems extremely appropriate when speaking of compassion. In fact, allow me to repeat that beautiful, moving, and inspirational statement, but this time let me slip in the word compassion at the start. Compassion is twice blessed. It blesses him that gives and him that takes. So, if through one act, that is, an act of compassion, not only are we doing something good for someone else, but we too are benefiting, why should there be even a moment's hesitation to act in a compassionate manner?
When Jayalakshmi Mata instructed little 9-year-old Satyam, young Sri Swamiji, to be compassionate, the sutra did not end there. And by expanding on it, she left no room for misconception that compassion should be limited only to one's close acquaintances, one's pets, one's family, and one's neighbors or fellow villagers. Think about it. What is the common thread running through that list? The thought of I, the thought of me, the thought of my. By not limiting the sutra to the words "be compassionate," Mata Jayalakshmi taught us that it is not enough if we only offer assistance to those who are known to us.
In the Republic of Ireland, there is a law called the Good Samaritan Act. If as a doctor one drives by the scene of an accident and does not stop to offer assistance or at least inquire if assistance is needed, if that person is recognized as being a doctor simply driving by oblivious to the potential need for medical assistance, he or she can be charged. To some that may seem a bit draconian, but at its core, it is a law propagating goodwill to others. At its core, it propagates compassion.
When you are happy and you are walking along on a beautiful, sunny, breezy, cool day filled with a sense of joy, you smile at everyone, even strangers. What are you doing when you do this? You are spreading the love and happiness that are within you because of your happy frame of mind. But when you are in a terrible mood, you shoot scowls at anyone who passes your way. Even if they are smiling, you return their smile with a scowl. When we do this, we are displaying selfish behavior. It is when we go above ourselves, when we think of the needs of the next person, When we think of what could be hurting another person, that is when we have started moving away from the I, the me, and the my. That is when we have started the journey towards unselfishness and compassion. Slowly, helping others and concerning ourselves with others' problems becomes more important to us, and as a result of this, we become good and compassionate persons.
There are many books on the law of attraction. The fundamental lesson within them all is we get out of the universe what we put into the universe. Going back to Shakespeare's words then, which are being extrapolated today to describe not only mercy but also compassion, it blesses him that gives and him that takes. How blessed we are that Pujya Appaji gives so freely and takes so freely. What does he give and what does he take? Well, he gives us a hand to hold on to as we climb the spiritual ladder. He gives compassion. He gives love. He gives a listening ear. He gives daily inspirational messages through the free app SGS Posts. He gives courage. He gives freedom from fear. He gives of his time. He gives infinite blessings. But all he takes in return are our worries, our bad habits, our troubles. If that is not the definition of compassion, then I don't know what is.
But again, none of this is surprising when one looks at who Pujya Appaji's parents were. Narasimha Shastri, Pujya Appaji's father, would often not even remember if he ate. He was so unconcerned with his own well-being. Yet, that same Shastri dedicated his time to helping others as a local priest and as a medicine man. And when one listens to Pujya Appaji speak of his mother, there can be no doubt that she lived a life of compassion, as you would have heard a couple of weeks ago. Given that not only Mata Jayalakshmi, but mothers all over the world can blow one's mind away with the level of compassion they are capable of displaying, it feels like quite a fitting time to engage in glorifying Mother in the form of Mother Goddess. Once again, please open the Bhajanmala app or website. This time, enter Bhajan ID number 618 and join in singing this old but very beautiful bhajan composed and rendered by Pujya Appaji.
నీదు పదయుగమే శరణమని నేను తలచెద దేవి గౌరి నీదు పదయుగమే శరణమని నేను తలచెద దేవి గౌరి నీదు పదయుగమే శరణమని నేను తలచెద దేవి గౌరి
నీదు పదయుగమే శరణమని నేను తలచెద దేవి గౌరి
మనసున కలతలు వీగిపోగా మనసున కలతలు వీగిపోగా బ్రతుకున శుభములు సాగిరాగా బ్రతుకున శుభములు సాగిరాగా తలపుల సొగసులు వాగై సాగా తలపుల సొగసులు వాగై సాగా నీదు పదయుగమే శరణమని నేను తలచెద దేవి గౌరి నీదు పదయుగమే శరణమని నేను తలచెద దేవి గౌరి మాయలు మనసున మాడిపోగా
మాయలు మనసున మాడిపోగా
నీ పదగరిమలు జోడై రాగా
నీ పదగరిమలు జోడై ರಾಗ
ಎಡದಯು ಚೆಲಿಮಿಗೆ ಗೂಡೆ ಕಾಗ ಎಡದಯು
ಚೆಲಿಮಿಗೆ ಗೂಡೆ ಕಾಗ
ಗುರುಪದ ನಿರತಿಯು ನೀಡೈ ಮೂಗ
ಗುರುಪದ ನಿರತಿಯು ನೀಡೈ ಮೂಗ
ಅನುದಿನ ಜಪಮುಲು ತೋಡೈ ಮೂಗ
ಅನುದಿನ ಜಪಮುಲು ತೋಡೈ ಮೂಗ ನೀನು ಪದ ಯುಗಮೇ ಶರಣಮನಿನೇನು ತಲಚದ ದೇವಿ ಗೌರಿ
ನೀದು ಪದ
ಯುಗಮೇ ಶರಣಮನಿನೇನು ತಲಚದ ದೇವಿ ಗೌರಿ
జగములు నెడుగన శ్రీచక్రంబే
జగముల నెటుగన శ్రీచక్రంబే
మిలమిల మెరయుచు మా కై వెల్గా
మిలమిల మెరయుచు మా కై వెల్గా
ఆనవవరణల పూజా వేళ
ఆనవవరణల పూజా వేళ
మామతి గృగముల పూలేరాల
మామతి గృహముల పూలేరాల
సచ్చిదానందపు తేనె పొంగ
సచ్చిదానందపు తేనె పొంగ
సచ్చిదానందపు తేనె పొంగ
సచ్చిదానందపు తేనె పొంగ
నీదు పద యుగమే శరణమని నేను తలచద దేవి గౌరి నీదు పద యుగమే శరణమని నేను తలచద దేవి గౌరి
శరణమని నేను తలచెద దేవి గౌరి నీరు పద యుగమే శరణమని నేను తలచెద దేవి గౌరి
దేవి గౌరీ దేవి గౌరీ
Taken from the Amavodi album by Parama Pujya Shri 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 Ganapati Satchidananda Swamiji, that bhajan has a way of joyfully replaying itself in one's mind after hearing it only once. What a delight! You are tuned in to Datta Arpanam on 103.1 FM. Today's offering is being brought to you through the grace of Pujya Shri Swamiji and thanks to the kind and loyal sponsorship by Kokie Supermart Limited, Samtran Insurance Brokers Limited, Debe Supermart Limited, and Valini's Drug Mart Limited. Today, by Pujya Appaji's grace, the journey into the Dwadasha Sutras continues. Those 12 sutras are 12 tenets by which Pujya Appaji's mother, Jayalakshmi Mata, instructed that he should live his life. Pujya Appaji has, in turn, instructed that we must also be guided by these sutras. Last week you heard an analysis of the first sutra, See Me in All Women. Today, thoughts are being shared regarding the second sutra, Be compassionate to the poor and socio-economically disadvantaged people.
Mata Jayalakshmi's life was a short one, lived during a time of flux, a time of socio-economic turmoil when the poor got poorer and the lower castes were kicked around. It was into this horrific scenario that the British Empire arrived, and with this came the divide and rule policy. India stood pretty much broken, with each sect protecting only its own.
As this was playing out nationwide across India, Mata Jayalakshmi continued to work on fulfilling her role as guru to her son, young Satyanarayana, who is now known to the world as Shri 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 Ganapati Satchidananda Swamiji. While Mata Jayalakshmi lived in a small village with her young family, she was no ordinary housewife and mother. Through her divine intuition, she was able to recognize the situation which was playing out throughout her homeland and warn her firstborn child, Puja Sri Swamiji.
Sri Swamiji's parents spread dharma by being living examples of accepting and tolerating people from other castes. His mother, Jayalakshmi Mata, grew up, as you heard a couple of weeks ago, among tribal gypsies. They were her companions. Her husband, Narasimha Shastri, cured villagers of their diseases. He did not scorn them or keep his knowledge of herbs to himself. Is it then any wonder, given such a background, that their son, Sri 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 Ganapati Satchidananda Swamiji, imbibes these qualities of acceptance, tolerance, and sharing?
In today's society, many are guilty of looking down upon others in one way or the other, some in less obvious ways than others. But Sri Swamiji has pitchforked himself to be different and to be a son who is faithful to the legacy and teachings of his parents. And even in that, folks, there is a lesson for us. We should not ridicule the elders. They have a knowledge which we cannot get from a book. That knowledge is the knowledge of experience.
When Puja Sri Swamiji was growing up in Bomeparti and Prodatur, so he was not even an adult yet, he would save his money and would help students to pay their fees. From this, we see that even as a child, he set standards and followed this second sutra of be compassionate to the poor and socio-economically disadvantaged people. He followed and continues to follow this tenet to the last word. A Sadguru practices only compassion with love.
Puja Sri Swamiji's fame as a Swami started in the electricity colony in Kesari at the home of Sri Kantaya. As Appaji was performing Ganapati Homa inside the home of Sri Kantaya, villagers saw smoke coming from the home. Not knowing what was happening and thinking that a fire had erupted inside the 50-year-old Kantaya's home, they started trying by all means to get a glimpse into the house. That is when this young lad, young Sri Swamiji, was seen performing Homa while reciting complex Vedic chants. Word of his remarkable knowledge spread, and gradually more and more people started turning up at Kantaya's house every Sunday. After some time, the young Satyanarayana became known by the villagers as Kesari Swami. And how does this tie in with the sutra in which compassion is advocated? Well, during his time in Kesari, the collections of money received in the plate did not go to the upkeep of the then Kesari Swami, Sri Swamiji. Instead, every Sunday, the money collected went to those who needed money for performing marriages, for treating illnesses, and so on. Such compassion is just a fraction of what we have seen or learnt about our dearest Appaji over the years.
It is no wonder then that he became so well loved by the people of Kesari, and then by the people of the world. To such a compassionate Sadguru, tribute is now offered. Please open the Bhajanmala app or visit the website www.bhajanmala.com. Enter Bhajan ID number 703 and join in singing the Bhajan of Happiness, which is composed by those Kesari devotees out of love for Puja Appaji.
ಆನಂದಲಹರಿ ಪಾಡಿರೆಲ್ಲ ನಮ್ಮ ಸತ್ಯಾವ ತುಂಗರ ಮಾತಿನೆಲ್ಲ ಆನಂದಲಹರಿ ಪಾಡಿರೆಲ್ಲ ನಮ್ಮ ಸತ್ಯಾವ ತುಂಗರ ಮಾತಿನೆಲ್ಲ ನಮ್ಮ ಸತ್ಯಾವ ತುಂಗರ ಮಾತಿನೆಲ್ಲ ತೇಜೋವಂತರಿವರು ತೇಜೋಪಾಲರಿವರು ತೇಜಸ್ವಿ ಇವರು ತೇಜೋವಂತರಿವರು ಭಜನ ಪಾಲರಿವರು ವೇದ ತೇಜೋಪಾಲರಿವರು ತ್ಯಾಗಶೀಲರಿವರು ತ್ಯಾಗವಂತರಿವರು ಆನಂದ ಲಹರಿ ಪಾಡಿರೆಲ್ಲ ಆನಂದ ಲಹರಿ ಪಾಡಿರೆಲ್ಲ ನಮ್ಮ ಸತ್ಯವ ತುಂಗರ ಮಾತಿನಲ್ಲ ಸತ್ಯವಂತ ಸತ್ಯ ಧರ್ಮ ಸತ್ಯಪಾಲರಿವರು ಜ್ಞಾನವಂತ ಜ್ಞಾನಪಾಲ ಜ್ಞಾನಶೂರರಿವರು ಗೀತಾಲೋಲ ಗೀತಗಮ್ಯ ಗೀತಗುಣರಿವರು ಭಕ್ತಿಲೋಲ ಜ್ಞಾನ ಪುರುಷ ಜ್ಞಾನವಂತರಿವರು ಆನಂದ ಲಹರಿ ಪಾಡಿರೆಲ್ಲ ಆನಂದ ಲಹರಿ ಪಾಡಿರೆಲ್ಲ ನಮ್ಮ ಸತ್ಯವ ತುಂಗರ ಮಾತಿನೆಲ್ಲ ಗಣಹೋಮ ಪ್ರಿಯರು ಗಣನಾಥ ಪಾಲರು ಸರ್ವಪಾಲರಿವರು ಸರ್ವವಂತರಿವರು ಹುಟ್ಟಿದಾಗ ಭಸ್ಮಧಾರಿ ತೇಜೋವಂತರಿವರು ಹಸನ್ಮುಖಿ ಹಸನ್ಪಾಲ ದೇವಾಧಿದೇವ ಆನಂದ ಲಹರಿ ಪಾಡಿರೆಲ್ಲ ಆನಂದ ಲಹರಿ ಪಾಡಿರೆಲ್ಲ ನಮ್ಮ ಸತ್ಯವ ತುಂಗರ ಮಾತಿನೆಲ್ಲ ಕನಕಪುರಿ ಕಾಡಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಜಯಲಕ್ಷ್ಮಿ ಪುತ್ರರು ನಾಟ್ಯಲೋಲ ನಾಟ್ಯಾನಂದ ಸಚಿದಾನಂದರಿವರು ಆನಂದ ಲಹರಿ ಪಾಡಿರೆಲ್ಲ ಆನಂದ ಲಹರಿ ಪಾಡಿರೆಲ್ಲ ನಮ್ಮ ಸತ್ಯವ ತುಂಗರ ಮಾತಿನಲ್ಲ ನಮ್ಮ ಸತ್ಯವ ತುಂಗರ ಮಾತಿನೆಲ್ಲ
That word Ananda means happiness. The word Lahari means song. Ananda Lahari means the song of happiness. That bhajan, a dedication to Puja Appaji which was composed by the people of Kesari, is not only a song of happiness, but it brings happiness to anyone whose ears are blessed with the good fortune of hearing it. You are tuned in to Datta Arpanam on 103.1 FM.
Today, the focus of Datta Arpanam is the second of the Dwadasha Sutras. Be compassionate towards the poor and socio-economically disadvantaged. As you've been hearing, Puja Appaji imbibes this sutra in totality, and by following it, he also sets an example for his devotees. This was one of the reasons why Mata Jayalakshmi passed on these sutras to Puja Appaji. They were meant not only for him, but also for those who would one day be his devotees.
Sri Swamiji's words have a way of being simple yet enlightening. He once explained that most people have heard of rishis and their tapas or penance. What he said people do not know is the real meaning of tapas. Many people think that tapas is sitting in a forest and doing japam or meditation with an unshaven beard, eyes closed, and controlling the breath. But this, he said, is not real tapas. Whatever is done to help others with an unselfish attitude, balanced mind, and dedicated spirit, this is real tapas. Such actions, whether performed in the spiritual field or in business and trade or in agriculture, they are all tapas.
So everyone, heed Puja Appaji's words and try to convert all of your actions into tapas. And when we look at Appaji's definition of tapas, two things really seem to be an extension of Mata Jaya Lakshmi's second Dwadasha Sutra. Appaji said that tapas is done to help others, and he also said with an unselfish attitude. Isn't this combination exactly what compassion is?
Absolutely. But again, this is not surprising, as the message of compassion is repeatedly stressed by Appaji. Listeners, SJS Post is a free app by which Puja Appaji sends daily inspirational, uplifting memes. Through this medium, he has reminded us to be nicer, have the courage to do what is right, never be a cause of stress in another's life, empathize with others, keep expressions pleasant, spread cheer instead of fear, help the needy, let your words lift the spirit of others, be generous.
He has also said that being good is its own reward. Compassion is the real strength. And very simply, be compassionate.
The list goes on, but we see from these Dwadasha direct messages from Appaji, how strongly he feels about devotees displaying a compassionate nature. When he himself displays such compassion, how can we not show our gratitude? How can we not follow suit? Of course we must.
Even in writing, tuning, and singing bhajans for us, Puja Appaji shows compassion. How? Well, as he has said on many occasions, in the age of Kali, Nama Sankirtana is the surest way to liberation. By composing bhajans in multiple languages, using all sorts of different ragams, with fast bhajans, slow bhajans, some which are neither fast nor slow, and bhajans worshipping all the various manifestations of the divine, Puja Appaji ensures that there is at least one bhajan which each devotee will love and so will sing. Out of an abundance of compassion, he is paving our way to liberation.
And what we often do not realize is that Puja Appaji's bhajans are not ordinary bhajans. He himself has said that they are Vedanta in the form of song. But stop for a second and think about this. His bhajans are written by the Avadhuta of Lord Dattatreya. They are written by the Avadhuta of the combined form of Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, and Lord Shiva. Have we any idea of just how fortunate we are to be privy to such bhajans? How fortunate we are to be privy to such divine words? Let us show appreciation for Puja Appaji's efforts as we join together now in Nama Sankirtanam. Last week, Narasimha Jayanti was celebrated. So let us join together now and worship that half-man, half-lion form of Lord Vishnu who saved his devotee Prahlad. That young boy belonged to the demon clan, but the Lord recognized and rewarded his kindness and devotion. Let us too act in such a way to earn the Lord's favor. The bhajan ID for today's next bhajan is 2179.
నరసింహదేవ మముకవరావ నీ అభయహస్తాన చేయూత నీవ
నరసింహదేవ మముఖావరావ నీ అభయహస్తాన చేయూత నీవ నరసింహదేవ మముఖావరావ నీ అభయహస్తాన చేయూత నీవ నరసింహదేవ మముఖావరావ అభయహస్తాన చేయూత నీవా.
పదునాలుగు లోకాల నువ్వు లేని నెలవేది,
14 లోకాల నువ్వు లేని నెలవేది,
14 లోకాల నువ్వు లేని నెలవేది,
14 లోకాల నువ్వు లేని నెలవేది.
నీ దయను మించిన ఘనమైన సిరి ఏది,
నీ దయను మించిన ఘనమైన సిరి ఏది,
నీ దయను మించిన ఘనమైన సిరి ఏది,
నీ దయను మించిన ఘనమైన
సిరి ఏది. నవనారసింహ నవనీత హృదయ,
నవనారసింహ నవనీత హృదయ,
నవనారసింహ నవనీత హృదయ,
నవనారసింహ నవనీత హృదయ.
నిజ భక్తులకు నిత్య సౌమ్య స్వరూప,
నిజ భక్తులకు నిత్య సౌమ్య స్వరూప,
నిజ భక్తులకు నిత్య సౌమ్య స్వరూప,
నిజ భక్తులకు నిత్య సౌమ్య స్వరూప. నరసింహదేవా మము కావరావా, నీ అభయహస్తాన చేయూత నీవా. నరసింహదేవా మము కావరావా, నీ అభయహస్తాన చేయూత నీవా.
నీ కరుణ వెల్లువై ప్రహ్లాదు కాపాడ,
నీ కరుణ వెల్లువై ప్రహ్లాదు కాపాడ,
నీ కరుణ వెల్లువై ప్రహ్లాదు కాపాడ,
నీ కరుణ వెల్లువై ప్రహ్లాదు కాపాడ.
రాతి స్తంభమునను కానవచ్చువే,
రాతి స్తంభమునను కానవచ్చావే,
రాతి స్తంభమునను కానవచ్చావే,
రాతి స్తంభమునను కానవచ్చావే.
ఘోర రూపము దాల్చి క్రూర రాక్షసు కూర్చి,
ఘోర రూపము దాచి క్రూర రాక్షసు కూల్చి,
ఘోర రూపము దాల్చి క్రూర రాక్షసు కూల్చి,
ఘోర రూపము దాచి క్రూర రాక్షసు కూల్చి.
విశ్వమును శాంతినే విహరింప చేశావే,
విశ్వమున శాంతినే విహరింపచేశావే,
విశ్వమున శాంతినే విహరింపజేశావే.
విశ్వమున శాంతినే విహరింపచేశావే. నరసింహదేవా మము కావరావా, నీ అభయహస్తాన చేయూత నీవా. నరసింహదేవా మము కావరావా, నీ అభయహస్తాన చేయూత నీవా.
ఆరు దొంగలు మమ్ము నిలువెల్ల దోచేసి,
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 సాంద్రాన మానౌక ముంచెత్తుతున్నారు,
సాంద్రాన మానౌక ముంచెత్తుతున్నారు.
దిక్కుతోచని మమ్ము దరిచేర్చగా రావ,
దిక్కుతోచని మమ్ము దరి చేర్చగా రావ,
దిక్కుతోచని మమ్ము దరిచేర్చగా రావ,
దిక్కుతోచని మమ్ము దరి చేర్చగా రావ.
శ్రీనారసింహ సచ్చిదానంద,
శ్రీనారసింహ సచ్చిదానంద,
శ్రీనారసింహ సచ్చిదానంద,
శ్రీనారసింహ సచ్చిదానంద. నరసింహదేవా మము కావరావా, నీ అభయహస్తాన చేయూత నీవా. నరసింహదేవా మము కావరావా, నీ అభయ అభయహస్తాన చేయూత నీవా
నీ అభయహస్తాన చేయూత నీవా
నీ అభయహస్తాన చేయూత నీవా
చేయూత నీవా
చేయూత నీవా
A one-of-a-kind bhajan written and rendered by the one who is a personification of oneness and the one who encourages us to treat all beings as one. You were just listening to the divine voice of Paramapujya Shri 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 Ganapati Satchidananda Swamiji here on Datta Arpanam.
Today, inspired by Mata Jayalakshmi's instruction to be compassionate to the poor and socio-economically disadvantaged, we have been discussing compassion. Compassion is a quality which Puja Sri Swamiji has displayed in abundance. When he was much younger, he used to work at a post office. One day, as he was cycling home after receiving his salary, the thought suddenly came to him, if we want to eradicate this problem of beggars, we must eradicate selfishness. Selfishness of both the wealthy and the beggars. Once that thought popped into his head, Satyanarayana Pujapaji promptly gave away his pay to a poor couple whose child needed treatment. And here we learn another important lesson. When inspired to do good, do not wait. Do not put it off. Evil forces will always try to stop you, so why give them the time to sneak in and change your mind? As soon as the thought to do something good pops into your head, carry out that good action as soon as you possibly can, immediately if possible.
Last week we spoke at length about that word mother. When a child's hand gets burnt, what does the compassionate mother do? Does she stand there scolding the distressed child, saying, "You put your hand into the fire, now suffer the consequences"? No, she doesn't. Instead, she will hurriedly take the steps needed to soothe the pain and burning experienced by the child. So too, true compassion is when we offer assistance to someone regardless of the cause of their suffering.
We shouldn't be selective in showing our compassion. Think about it. If God, if Sadguru was to be selective and say, "This is your karma, your suffering is your own doing, I am not getting involved, I am not going to help." If God said this, how would you feel? Rotten, right? So use Puja Appaji's example as a mold for how you should live your life. Listeners, we are truly blessed to be cared for and molded by Compassion Infinite in the form of Shri 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 Ganapati Satchidananda Swamiji. And what a comforting thought that is on which to begin to wrap up today's episode of Datta Arpanam.
Pranams and gratitude are offered at the divine feet of beloved Sadguru Deva, Paramapujya Shri 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 Ganapati Satchidananda Swamiji and Pujya Shri 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 Datta Vijayananda Tirtha Swamiji, without whose teachings, compassion, love, guidance and music, this program would not exist.
Pranams to you, Puja Appaji and Sri Bala Swamiji. Kindly forgive any errors which may have been committed in preparing or in sharing today's episode of Datta Arpanam, and please guide us to avoid such errors in the future.
Special thanks are extended to the staff at 103.1 FM and to the sponsors of Datta Arpanam: Samtran Insurance Brokers Limited, Debe Supermart Limited, Valini's Drug Mart Limited, and Kokie Supermart Limited. And of course, dear listener, an extra special thank you is extended to you for sharing your Sunday morning with us.
Remember, if you would like to listen to today's offering again, the podcast will be uploaded to 103.1 FM's website by tomorrow evening. Simply visit www.103fm.tt, click on podcasts and scroll down to Datta Arpanam. Alternatively, you can also access the link via the Datta Arpanam Facebook page.
Once again, everyone, thank you for tuning in today. You are invited to please tune in to 103.1 FM again next Sunday at 6 a.m. Atlantic Standard Time for another episode of Datta Arpanam, a showcase of the life, music and teachings of His Holiness Parama Pujya Shri 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 Ganapati Satchidananda Swamiji.
Jai Guru Datta.
Shri Guru Datta. Harihi Om Tat Sat.
ఆంజనేయ గతివి నీవే జయము శుభముల నీవయ 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 బాసట నిలచినావు జాతి కంతకు ప్రాణదానము చేసి సంజీవనుడవైతివి అమ్మ దుఃఖము బాపినావు అయ్య బాసట నిలచినావు జాతి కంతకు ప్రాణదానము చేసి సంజీవనుడవైతివి ఆంజనేయ గతివి నీవే జయము శుభముల నీవయ ఆంజనేయ గతివి నీవే జయము శుభముల నీవయ మూర్తివి నీవే అయినను దాని గరికెగనైన తలపవు దాని నితరులు కోరి పొగడిన దాని ఫలమును వారికిత్తు శక్తి మూర్తివి నీవే అయినను దాని గరికెగనైన తలపవు దాని నితరులు కోరి పొగడిన దాని ఫలమును వారికిత్తు ఆంజనేయ గతివి నీవే జయము శుభముల నీవయ శుభముల నీవయ్యా కాంతి వేగమునందుకొనియు విద్యలిమ్మని వెంటబడితివి హరిహరాత్మక నందికొనియు సర్వసేవక పదవి నుండివి కాంతి వేగమునందుకొనియు విద్యలిమ్మని వెంటబడితివి హరిహరాత్మక నందికొనియు సర్వసేవక పదవి నుండివి ఆంజనేయ గతివి నీవే జయము శుభముల నీవయా ఆంజనేయ గతివి నీవే జయము శుభముల నీవయా సముద్రము దాటివేసియు మమ్ము బోటుల మరువవైదివి నిన్ను కొంతే కొలచుచున్నను సచ్చిదానందము ఇచ్చుచుంటివి సముద్రము దాటివేసియు మమ్ము బోటుల మరువవైదివి నిన్ను కొంతే కొలచుచున్నను సచ్చిదానందము ఇచ్చుచుంటివి ఆంజనేయ గతివి నీవే జయము శుభముల నీవయా 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 జయము శుభముల నీవయా జయము శుభముల నీవయా ఓం శాంతి 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 हरिः ॐ तत्सत्